Good day, everyone. Good day, CJ. Good day, Maria. How is everyone? We're doing well here. I'm going to just take the glasses off. It's like, which one? Do I wear them? Do I not wear them? Today is Sunday, February 17th, 2024. And look what arrived yesterday, CJ. Thank you very, very much. If I tip it, then it's going to mess up the beautiful way I have them laid in here for the sanctification. Yeah, that's a little better view of them. They're beautiful. And yes, you found some really nice crucifixes as well. This one I'll pull up and show, just so everybody can see. There we go. Come on, focus in there. There it goes. Those are really nice. Put on your mic. What'd they do with it? Oh, here it is. Thought I had it on. It was a rough night. Okay, is that better? And okay, let me move into it. I'll leave my glasses on. And good day, Andrew. How are you? Good to see you. All right, so you saw the beautiful crucifixes, and I will say it again that I'm going to sanctify these beautiful crucifixes and rosaries, rosary 150s that CJ has made and sent up for us. And thank you also by the little letter and note and gift. All right. In nomine Dei, matronam nostra et Deum Iesum Christum et Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum. I consecrate these rosaries. May they be a sign of your love for us and a protection from temptation and a weapon against all evil for the owner or bearer for all time. In nomine Dei, matronam nostra et Deum Iesum Christum et Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum. Okay, they are all ready for distribution. In case you're wondering why I'm walking weird, there's a animal right under my feet, which is okay. She's all right. So we're going to continue on with the appendix and the stanzas according to St. John of the Cross, because there's little jewels or pearls of information and knowledge that we can use in our Catholic Contemplation Challenge. Hopefully that's still... Yes, okay. In nomine Dei, matronam nostra et Deum Iesum Christum et Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum. Let us place ourselves in the presence of God, and in Catholic contemplation humbly adore the Trinitarian Theophany. Most holy and venerable Trinity, one God and three divine beings, I believe that thou art here present. I venerate thee with the deepest humility. I render to thee with my whole heart the homage which is due to thee. O God, relying on thy infinite goodness and promises, I hope to obtain the pardon of my sins, the help of thy grace, and life everlasting, through the merits of Deum Iesum Christum et Deum Matronam Nostrae. O God, I love thee above all things with my whole heart and soul, because thou art all good and worthy of all love. I love my neighbor as myself for love of thee, and I forgive all who have injured me and ask pardon of all whom I have injured. Let us thank God for the many graces that we receive and offer ourselves in our sufferings up to the Trinitarian Theophany. O God, I most humbly thank thee for all the favors thou hast bestowed upon me to the present moment. It is again thanks to thy bounty that I should live to see this day, and I desire to employ it solely in thy service. I consecrate to thee all my thoughts, words, actions, and sufferings of this day. Sanctify them, O God, that there may be none that is not animated by thy love, or that would not tend to thy greater glory. Let us make a firm resolution to avoid evil and to do good, and let us beg of God the graces which are necessary to us. O God, thou knowest my weakness, and that I am unable to do anything good without the help of thy grace. Deny me not thy grace, O God, proportionate to my necessities. Give me strength to avoid everything which thou forbiddest, to practice the good which thou hast commanded, and enable me patiently to bear all the trials which it may please thee to send me. O God, Our Lady, O Holy Mother of God, I place myself under thy protection. I throw myself with confidence into the arms of thy compassion. Be to me, O Mother of Mercy, my refuge in distress, my consolation in suffering, now and at the hour of my death. O my God, I am heartily sorry for having offended thee, and I detest all my sins, because I dread the loss of heaven and the pains of hell, but most of all because I have offended thee, my God, who art good and deserving of all my love. I firmly resolve, with the help of thy grace, to confess my sins, to do penance, and to amend my life. I'd also like to congratulate any of you who are succeeding and attempting to succeed in cleansing the body. It's a part of the process of this reaching this contemplative union. In order to reach that perfection, the body must be rid of all of that which is imperfect, and the toxins and the parasites, which are so prevalent now in society, again, being given to us in our food and in our medicines that we think are helping, when in reality they're poisoning us. So I congratulate those who are trying and succeeding. And again, it's important because it affects your mental health as well. It affects your ability to concentrate and to contemplate. So that's why I always say to try and start by cleansing the body, then get into this deeper state of your soul. Stanza 27, the state of the spiritual espousals and the complete impulsion of the soul toward God. In this stanza, St. John describes the state, that's St. John of the Cross, describes the state of the spiritual espousals as the state of perfect love, in which even the first movements of the will and the sensible appetites are directed toward God. It would be futile to wish to obtain such perfection actively by one's own efforts in the purely ascetical life. And besides, St. John teaches explicitly that it is God, the Trinitarian Theophany, who causes this perfection in the soul by means of mystical theology, that is, by infused contemplation. Okay, it's important. I want to note that mystical theology is done by infused contemplation. Okay, so it's not something that you can do on your own, or get on your own, I should say. St. John states that the science full of sweetness, which God has taught the soul, is mystical theology,
which is the secret science of God, and which spiritual men call contemplation. God is the author of this union and of the purity and perfection requisite for it. And as the transformation of the soul in God's self makes it God's, God empties it of all that is alien to God. Thus, it comes to pass that not in will only, but in act as well, the whole soul is entirely given to God, without any reserve whatever, as God has given God's self freely unto it. The soul is, as it were, absorbed in God, and even its first movements have nothing in them, so far as it can comprehend them, which is at variance with the will of God. The first movements in the understanding, the memory, the will, and the desires, the first movements of the soul, which has attained to the spiritual state of which I am speaking, are ordinarily directed to God, because of the great help and courage it derives from God, and its perfect conversion to goodness. Evidently, this degree of perfection is superior to human efforts. It can be attained only in the mystical way. On the other hand, it is the effect of a union by exchange, which is in the normal development of charity. Stanza 28, the spiritual espousals and the activity of love. St. John here describes the state of the spiritual espousals as the state of perfect love, in which all of the higher and lower powers, quote, are consecrated no longer to its own interests, but to those pertaining to the service of the bridegroom, unquote. The saint says, quote, even its communion with God's self is nothing else but acts of love, unquote. The soul declares, quote, my soul is occupied and all my substance in God's service, unquote. In these words, it reveals the gift it has made of itself to the beloved in this union of love, in which the soul is, with all its powers, intellect, will, and memory, dedicated and engaged in God's service, devoting its intellect to the understanding of what is of most consequence to God, God's cause, that it may be put into practice. Its will to the preference of all that gives pleasure to God, to the direction of its affections in everything to God, its memory to the seeking of what may serve God and give God the greatest pleasure. The soul continues, quote, and all my substance in God's service, unquote. By all its substance, the soul means here all that relates to its sensible part. The soul says here that it has consecrated its sensible as well as its rational and spiritual part to God's service. All this, it says, is consecrated to God's cause. The soul orders the body according to God in all its interior and exterior senses, all the acts of which are directed to God. The four passions of the soul are also under control in God. For the soul's joy, hope, fear, and grief are conversant with God only. All in its appetites and all its anxieties also are directed unto God only. The whole substance of the soul is now so occupied with God, so intent upon God, that its very first movements, even inadvertently, have God for their object and their end. The understanding, memory, and will tend directly to God. Now I guard no flock. By these words, the soul means I do not go after my likings and desires, for having them fixed upon God, I no longer feed or guard them. The soul not only does not guard them now, but has no other occupation than to wait upon God. Nor have I any other employment. Before the soul succeeded in effecting this gift and surrender of itself, and of all that belongs to it, to the beloved, it was entangled in many unprofitable occupations. It may be said that its occupations of this kind were as many as its habits of imperfection. I'm thinking of myself here. The soul still has a blemish which it never rids itself of, as long as it does not once and for all consecrate all its substance to the service of God, so that, as we have said, all its words, thoughts, and works are directed to God. Quote, my sole occupation is love. The soul means, all my occupation now is the practice of the love of God. All the powers of soul and body, memory, understanding, and will, interior and exterior senses, the desires of the soul and of sense, all work in and by love. All I do is done in love. All I suffer in the sweetness of love. When the soul has arrived at this state, all the acts of its spiritual and sensual nature, whether active or passive, and of whatever kind they may be, always occasion an increase of love and delight in God. Even the act of prayer and communion with God, which was formerly carried on by reflections and divers other methods, is now wholly an act of love. The soul, in the state of spiritual betrothal, is for the most part living in the union of love. That is, the will is habitually waiting lovingly in God. It is impossible to conceive of such perfection of love, of such a gift of self-extending, even to the first movements of all the powers, in the purely ascetical way. According to St. John of the Cross, this perfection, obtained only in the spiritual espousals, is the effect of the mystical graces bestowed in this state. Thus, once more, the state of perfect love is identified in the teachings of St. John of the Cross with the state of the spiritual espousals. We'll stop there for today, and tomorrow we'll talk about the soul lost to the world for its beloved, and more. Deum vobiscum, et quoque apud te. Oremus. O God, the Creator and Redeemer of all the faithful, grant to the souls of thy servants and handmaids the remission of all their sins, that they may obtain by loving prayers the forgiveness which they have always desired, who livest and reignest with thee, one God, forever and ever. Suscipe Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum Hanc Immaculatum Hostium, quam ego indinius famulus tuus affeditibi Deum meum vivum et verum, pro innumerabilibus peccatis et offensionibus et negligentiis meis, et pro omnibus circumstantibus seret pro omnibus fidelibus catalocorum vivis aquae defunctis ut mihi, et idis proficiedat salutem. Deum qui commandis substantia dignitatum mirabilito condudisi et mirabilis reformasti da nobis, peruhus acquere fil mysterium eis divinitatis, esse consortis qui divinitatis nostrae, fieri denotis is patriceps, Deum Iesum Christum Filium, qui tecum vivit et reinat in unitate Deum Patrum, Spiritum Sanctum. Afferimus tibi Deum calicem salutaris tuum de peccantis clementiam, ut conspectu divini majestatis tuae pro nostra et totius mundi salute cum adori suavitatis ascendat. In spiritu humilitatis et in anima contrito suscipi amarate Deum Iesum Christum, et sacrifiet sacrificium nostrum et conspectu tu hodie, ut placeat tibi Deum matronam nostrae et Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum. Beni sanctificator, Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum, et sanctificat oblata prosequendo recepere hoc sacrificium tuo sancto nomini preparatum. Suscipe Sancta Trinitas Sancoblationum, quam tibi efferimus a memoriam passionis, resurrectionis et ascensionis Deum Iesum Christum, et in honoram Deum matronam nostrae et Papa Pete Sanctorum, et istorum et omnem Sanctorum, ut illis proficiat ad honorem nobis autem et salutem, et illi pro nobis intercedere in in celis, coram amore magimus in telis per innum Christum Deum nostrum. Orate, ut me mec vestrum sacrificium acceptabile fiat ab Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum. Suscipiat Deum Iesum Christum sacrificium de manimus tuis, et laudam et gloriam nomini sui, ad utilitatem quoque nostram totiusque ecclesiae suae sanctae. Deum vobiscum, quoque apud sursum corda, habemus ad Deum. Gratias agamus Deum nostrum, dignum et justum est. Te egit hoc limitessimi Mater et Pater, Deum Matram Nostrae et Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum, per Deum Iesum Christum Filium Tuum Deum Nostrae, sublitis rogamus ac petimus, ut ecipte esse benedicas hic sanctam sacrificium illibata, et sanctificas hic sanctam sacrificium illibata. In primis, quae tibi efferimus, pro ecclesiam tuum sanctam catholicam, quam pacificare, custodire, honore, et regere, digneris toto orbiterarum atque catholicae. Memento Deum famulorum tuorum. We pray for the sick and the suffering. We especially pray for Father Warren, Father Henry Finch, Katie Gage, Neil and Earl Lively, Robert Charles Dosco, Irene Jonas, the Maria Josephina Mose, Henry, Barbara, Benedict Santa Croce, Mark Jr., Casey, Ann Bultink, John Cahill, Mr. Nobody, the Cantu and Duarte families, Jenna, Lena, Lori, Aaron and family, Maria and the Lineweber family, the Dasco, Nye, Tafour, Began, Wolf families, Alex Tafour, Baby Began, Baby Girl Began, and all those suffering and struggling with detoxing from inoculations. We pray for Mr. Nobody to receive the funding and strength needed to complete the first Sedevacantis Catholic Council office in Monastery of Illinois. We pray for an end to all governmental allowance or sanctioning of abortion, transgenderism, transhumanism, child trafficking, child abuse, any form of human trafficking or ritual abuse of any kind, anywhere, place, or time. We pray for the establishment of a Catholic monarchy with a sound Catholic system of labor, human value, and medium of exchange, with no usury, and for courageous men to step forward as leaders of this Catholic society to set this system up and in place courageously and morally, to remove gay marriage, to remove the feminist ideology, and return to godly femininity. We ask that women cease to work for Freemasons and corporations everywhere and for all time. We ask that women come to understand the raising of traditional Catholic families is a very high ideal and a necessity for sustaining a Catholic society. And we ask that all pornography and the OnlyFans platform be stopped immediately. We ask Dea Matronam Nostra et Deum Iesum Christum et Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum, with this Mass, to destroy the Church of Rome that has lost its authority and is run by Jews and Freemasons. We also ask you to wake up the Catholics that still follow the authority of the Vatican and to restore the lost faith of the Vatican II Catholics. We pray for wisdom on how to grow natural foods, healthy foods, raise natural, healthy animals, and to share them abundantly with your neighbors. We pray for the elimination of all harmful radiation waves in our air and in our homes, to shut down CERN, all particle accelerators, all gateways and portals, and for all demons who came through to return immediately to hell. All these things we ask in accordance with God's holy and divine will. Et omnium circumstantium quorum tibi fides cognita est et nota devotio, pro quibus tibi afferimus, per qui tibi offrunt hoc sacrificium laudis prosis visque omnibus, pro redemptione animarum suarum prospe salutis et calamitatis suae, tibi que redunt votas sua aeterno Deum vivo et vero, communicantes et memoriam venerantes in primis gloriose semper Deum matronam nostrae, et Deum Iesum Christum, et beatorum martyrium tuorum Papa Sancti Petri, et Sancti Lucia, et Sancti Jacinta, et Sancti Francisco, et Sancti Juan Diego, et omnium sanctorum tuorum quorum meritis praecibus concedas, ut in omnibus protectionis tuae monumer exilio per eundem Christum Deum nostrum, quam oblationem Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum in omnibus, consecratum acceptabilem configedi in elis ut nobis corpum, et sanguinem fiat didictissimi Filium tuum Deum Iesum Christum, qui pridie quam pateretor recepit panem in sancta sacramentibus manus suas, et derivatis oculis in caelum et Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum suum omnipotentem tibi gratias agens, consecravit, fregit, dedique lumnis sui dicens accipite, et mandocate ex hoc omnes. Hoc est enim corpus meum. Simini modo postquam ceremonia est accipiens et hunc preclarum calicem in sancta sacramentibus manus suas item tibi gratias agens, Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum, consecrave dedique lumnis sui dicens accipite et bibite ex eo omnes. Hic est enim calix sanguinis mei, mysterium fidei, quae pro nobis et pro multis effundetur in remissione peccatorum, et quod est cum ficeritis in memoram facietis. Unde et memores Deum nos servet tui, sed plebs tua, sancta justum Christum Filium tuum, Deum nostre tambete passionis, nec non et in fidis resurrectionis, sed et in celos gloriosae ascensionis offerimus, preclari maestati tuis donis ac datis, supraque propitio ac serena vultur respicieri digneris. Supplices te ragamus, Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum, iube hic pe Philippum manus tuum, ut quod, ex hoc autaris participationis sacrosanctum Deum Filium tuum, corpus et sanguinem sum omni sanctificatione celesti et gratia Dei per amor perennium Christum Deum nostrae. We pray for those who have died. We especially pray for May Stelzer, for whom this Mass is being offered. Ipsis Deum et omnibum in Christum crescentibum locum refugere lucis et pacis, ut indulge est placamur per eundem Christum Deum nostrum. per quem hic omnia Deum Iesum Christum semper bono creas, sanctificas, vivificas, sanctificas et prestas nobis. Per ipsum et cum ipso et in ipso, est tibi Deum Matrum omnipotente in unitate Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum, omnis honor et gloria. Ave Deum, Matronum nostrae, gratia plena, Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum tecum, Deum Matronum nostrae Matram Deum Iesum Christum, misericordia nobis peccatoribus nunc et in hora mortis nostrae. Libera nos quesumus Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum, ab omnibus malis praeteritis praesentibus et futuris, et intercedente beata et gloriosa semper Deum Matronum nostrae, cum Papa Petrum Sanctorum et omnibus sanctis da propitiis pacem mentibus nostris. Ut ope misericordiae tui aduiti et peccato, simu semper liberi et ab omni perturbatione securi. Per eundum Deum nostrum Iesum Christum Filium Tuum Deum nostrum, qui te vivit et reinat in unitate Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum, per aeternam. Pax Deum Iesum Christum sit semper vobiscum, et quoque apud te, ec mixtio et consecratio corporis et sanguinis Deum Iesum Christum, fiat accipentibus nobis in ad salutem aeternam. Pax tecum, et quoque apud te. Deum Iesum Christum, qui ex voluntate Deum Matronam nostrae, quaprant te Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum, per mortem tuam unum vivificasti, libera me per hoc sacro sanctum corpus et sanguinum tuum ab omnibus iniquitatibus meis, et universis malis, et fac me tui semper in harare mandatis, et atinumquam separari permittas, qui cum eodem Deum Matronam nostrae, et Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum, vivis et regnam aeternam, perceptio corporis tui Deum Iesum Christum, quod ego indinius sumere presumum non mihi proveniat in judicium et condonnationem, sed pro tua pietate prosit mihi et tutamente mentis corporis, et ad me delam percipiendum qui vivis et regnas, cum Deum Matronam nostrae, in unitate Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum. In panem celestem accipiem, et nomen Deum Iesum Christum invocabo. Deum Matronam nostrae non sunt dignus, ut et surtete meis in tanto verba sapernum mea. Deum Iesum Christum non sunt dignus, ut et surtete meis in tanto verba sapernum mea. Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum non sunt dignus, ut et surtete meis in tanto verba sapernum mea. Corpus Deum nostrum Iesum Christum custodiet anima mea. Quaedra tribuum Deum Iesum Christum pro omnibus, quaedra tuit mihi, calicem salutaris accipiem et nomen Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum invocabo, laudans invocabo Deum Matronam nostrae, et ab inimicis meis salvus ero. Sanguis Deum nostrum Iesum Christum custodiet anima meam. Corpus Dei nostrum Iesum Christum custodiet amam tuum. Corore samsimus Deum Iesum Christum puramente capiamus et immune temperae fino fiat nobis remedium sempiternam. Corpus tuum Deum Iesum Christum, quod sancti et sanguis quempit have heribus oribus meis presta, ut in me non remediat scelera macula quem purat sancta reficina sacramenta. Deum vobiscum, et quoque apud. Oremus. May the prayer of thy suppliants profit the souls of thy servants and handmaids, we beseech thee, O God, that thou mayest free them from all sins and make them sharers in thy redemption, who livest and reignest with thee, one God, forever and ever. Deum vobiscum, et quoque apud te, ite mises, Deum gratia. Placia tibi sancta Trinitam, obsequium servitutis mei presta ut sacrificium, quod oculis tui maestatis in inus auctoritibi sertat apter inique et omnibus, pro quibus idut optolis et miserante propitiabile per Christum Deum nostrum. Sanctificat vos omnipotens Deum, Matronam et Filium et Spiritum Sanctum, Deum Matronam Nostrae, et Deum Iesum Christum, et Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum. Gratias. O God, I believe, I venerate, I hope, and I love thee. I beg of thee pardon for those who do not believe, do not venerate, do not hope, and do not love thee. Most holy Trinitarian Theophany, I venerate thee profoundly, and I offer to thee the most precious body, blood, soul, and divinity of God Jesus Christ, who was, is, and ever shall be, present here in reparation for the outrages, sacrileges, and indifference by which he himself is offended, and through the infinite merits of his most sacred heart and the immaculate heart of God our Lady, who was, is, and ever shall be, I beg of thee the conversion of poor sinners. In nomine Dei, matronum nostri, et Deum Iesum Christum, et Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum. Gratias. So I wanted to thank, I forgot to thank Kyle for his generous Bitcoin donation. So yes, I can now, thanks to him, receive donations via Bitcoin. As we know, the American currency, the US dollar, is losing its value and it's inflating, and it looks like it's going to get worse before it gets better. And I don't think they have anything but a diabolical plan for after it. So hopefully, with our prayers and rosaries and masses, the Catholic monarchy can be established where we can have a sound system, so that's not interfered with. And again, thank you all for your donations and your prayers, and I really appreciate it. All right, have a great day. I am not going to have coffee today. It's been now 4 days without coffee, and I'm also doing a Cleanse 24. It's a product along with stopping the coffee, and my kidneys are feeling it. So you'll notice that a little bit in the lower back on both sides. If you get an ache, that means your kidneys are working really hard to get rid of toxins. So pray for my kidneys. All right. Please go and sanctify all those who you meet today. And if you'd like more information about what I'm doing health-wise, you can always reach out to me too at ourladyisgod.com. All right. Be well.